Number 5, Jessica E. says, hello, Pastor Mike. Thank you and the mods for this ministry. You're very, very welcome, Jessica. What does James 4:13 mean? Should we always say God willing in our plans? All right, let's look at this passage. James chapter 4, verse 13. James is kind of the kick in the rear end New Testament epistle. I guess there's maybe more than one, but James is like big time, very much like calling you to live according to what you say. Here we go. This section does start with verse 13. Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go into such and such a town and spend a year there and trade and make a profit, yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that. As it is, you boast in your arrogance. All such boasting is evil. So whoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him it is sin. This idea here, let me tell you what I think might be a clumsy interpretation or application of the passage. The clumsy application would be, every time I say something about a plan, I have to follow up with the phrase, if the Lord wills. The reason why I think this is a clumsy application is because it's just a phrase you say, right? It's almost like saying, knock on wood, which people will often say, and they don't actually think knocking on wood does any, like it's just an empty phrase that people say because they're like, I hope so. Instead, I think that the internal issues is what he's getting at, is they're boasting in arrogance, and that kind of boasting is evil. What's the boasting? The boasting is the idea that I am ultimately totally in control of my life, and it's not subject to the will of God finally. Now, most Christians are not going to say they think this. The point is they're not acting like it. They don't behave as though the decisions that you make, the plans that you have, are just, that's it. That's all there is to it. Where it doesn't ultimately depend on whether God wills or not, a whole bunch of things that you can't control. So the idea is a sense of constant awareness that not only will my plans fail apart from God's will, but I also want God's will. Like there's a sense, when I say God willing, I'm not just saying humbly, because I could be wrong. It's not just that. There's another element, which is because I want God's will, right? Like, hey, we're gonna go to such and such town, and we're gonna spend a year there, and we're gonna try and trade and make a profit. But I just want God's will, and I'm yielded to God's will. I'm ready to make a change, to change directions, to have my heart open, to get my mind changed on these issues. That I think is what's being taught here. The example is the way a person arrogantly goes about their life, making their own plans, focused on their own benefits. And then the other person turns and says, Lord, I want what you want ultimately. I have plans, but let them be according to your will. And of course, your will trumps whatever I've got planned. That's just a different heart and attitude. So when you pray, do you have to say, God's will be done all the time? No. You have to be that way, though. Like, that's just a thing you have to have in your heart. And it doesn't hurt to say it, but if you don't mean it, it doesn't help either.